Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the KPPA Audit Committee quarterly meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for Mr. Board to give the legal statement, please.
Yes, sir. This is a regular meeting of the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority Audit Committee. This meeting is being broadcast via video teleconference pursuant to Kentucky Revised Statute Section 61.826 and may be viewed by the public at the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority offices at 1260 Louisville Road in Frankfort, Kentucky. It is also being broadcast to the public via Facebook. If you are speaking and not appearing by video, please identify yourself before talking. In the event the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If a connection cannot be reestablished within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled to another date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Board. Ms. Rankin, can you do the roll call for us, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. O'Meara?
Here.
Mr. Cheatham?
Here.
Miss Eves?
Here.
Mr. Fulkerson?
Here.
Miss Hampton?
Here.
And Mr. Summers?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, sir, no public comment today.
With no public comment, we move to approval of the May 29th, 2025 Audit Committee minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
First and second, any discussion, review,
Yes, Bill.
amendments?
Bill, it's Mary. There's a loose end in those minutes about tabling some approval of the minutes of the February 25th meeting, I think. And it had to do with whether the CEOs or the executive director were recommended to look into the consistency of what I think Kristen pointed out were securities trading policies or investment related policies with practice. And I think we tabled approving the earlier minutes, and I don't know if anybody followed up on clarifying. I think Lynn pointed this out. There was a reference in those minutes to the CEO, and Lynn's point was it should be the CEOs, plural, or the executive director would look into that topic. And I think I don't want to nitpick, but I think that following up is important on the consistency of those policies to practice.
Yeah. Mary, I'm pretty sure they did follow up because I think that the contract was bid. It's just not, if the minutes, Sherry, were the minutes not approved? Do we need to look at those or bump them? I think if I'm not, John is not on the committee meeting today because he still has strep throat.
He is on the meeting.
He is. Okay, then he might
Yes.
remember.
Yeah, I'm on the meeting.
Do you remember what Mary? I'm pretty sure that was that. I forgot the name of the company, but the company that was looking at our investment contracts. I think we tabled that to clarify that it was either CEOs or executive director.
Actually, Lynn, I think it was not that issue about looking at the contracts. It was the issue of consistency of policies to practices about securities trading or anything else that was investment policies, which was an internal thing. And I think Carrie had been looking at that as well.
Okay.
So I don't think it was about the contracts. It was
so I can speak to Carrie. Carrie has worked with the CEOs. She's got a draft that's been identified for work. So that there is following up on that specific issue with Carrie. That's one of her top priorities. I'll let Sandy or Sherry comment on the minutes, but there is additional action, collaborative action on that policy soon to be seen by various trustees when it's final.
So it seems to me then, my thinking would be the February 25th minutes would then just reference CEOs plural an S on the end of CEOs, if that's who has picked up the mantle on that. And then we would approve both those minutes and we would approve those minutes.
So I have a motion to amend the February 25th minutes.
Yes,
Do
and
I
it's
have-
it's item 10, 10, little c, little 2I. And there's a reference in that text to CEO. And I think if consistent with what Ryan is saying, it would just be a plural CEOs. An S on the
It's
end
great,
of it.
Mary.
Well, that's not
That's-
great, but I just noticed that that was a loose end.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's an important loose end.
Yes, thank you. So do I, well, let's see. We're in the middle of approving the May 29th. Let's conclude that and we'll go to the February 25th. So do we have any amendments, corrections, clarifications for the May 29th minutes?
Well, I think it says in the May 29th minutes that at May 29th we approved the February 25th. Let me see.
Okay, I'll defer to legal as to how we should proceed for this this amendment.
I apologize. I had to get myself unmuted. Ms. Rankin, if you could let me get to the minutes in my board book. So the trying to see exactly how it reads about the
Yeah, if you can search on the February 25th.
yeah. So
Sherry, I'm sorry. I think if you can go to number 6 on the
yes.
May audit committee minutes, that is what Ms. Eves is referencing.
So, Ms. Eves, it doesn't say that we approved the February 25th minutes. It says it was tabled. So we can approve these minutes as being accurate. Yes, we can we can go ahead, as Mr. O'Meara was saying, we can approve the May 29th meeting minutes as being accurate because they accurately reflect what happened at that meeting.
You're exactly
Then-
right. I see that now.
Yes. Then if
Yes.
we need to go back and amend the February 25th minutes, we can do that in a separate motion.
I
after
agree.
we've-
I agree. I
after
see that
we've
now.
approved these. Yes.
I've got that. Someone's got that paragraph 6 pulled up, and I think you're exactly right. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you,
Bill,
Mr. Poole.
I'm fine moving forward with approval of the May 29th minutes.
Okay, any other amendments or discussion related to the May 29th minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, the May 29th minutes are approved. Now let's talk about the February 25th, 2025 minutes. Any amendments, discussion, corrections for those?
Yes, I would like to propose amending item 10C, little 2I, reference to CEO to make it CEOs, plural.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Sherry, can you pull that up? I think you said it's number 10, Mary?
Yes, it's number 10, and subpart little c, little 2I.
I don't know whether that's possible, Sherry.
Can you all see?
A little small.
Let me get it back up here.
Really good. Okay.
Let's see, where was it again?
Yeah, it's C and little 2I. You've got I up there, and then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I do believe we made those changes. They just did not make it those minutes just didn't make it to this agenda. So here's the changes that Sandy
Okay.
did.
Great. So that was made. So we just need to approve these minutes now, the way they're written. There's no other action, right? Michael, is that
Yeah.
correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
approve the minutes
And then
as revised or as amended.
Okay. So Bill, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended of, is it February 29th? What was the date?
I think
February
it's 25th.
25th. Minutes of the KPPA Audit Committee of February 25th, 2029.
And do I have a second?
Is it my motion? If it's not,
I think Mary made the motion, and then we can let Lynn second it. Now, if there's any private discussion, if anybody has any questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Please make mine a second.
Any other discussion?
Bill,
About the-
just
Yes,
quick point of order.
sure.
Are we voting on the amendment that Miss Mary provided, or are we voting on the minutes themselves?
Well, that's a good point, and I was going to make a second point. Since we're just seeing the wording of these amendments now, it might be under consideration to include this in the next packet so that we all can agree that the wording is appropriate before approval.
Is there anything else changed besides adding the S?
Well, there's a lot of red up here, so
Yes.
Ask and Sherry.
yeah, there's explanatory.
Yeah, it looks like there was some, some deletion, some wording that was deleted, some that was that was changed based on Sandy's review of the actual meeting.
Okay. Okay, based on the chair's recommendation, I will remove my second.
And I'll withdraw my motion as well.
all right, thank you. So we understand that we will have these amended minutes included in the next board packet for our review and approval.
Absolutely, we'll take care of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you, Mary, for bringing that to our attention. Next on the agenda is financial reporting updates. And do we have Mike on board?
I'm here.
Mr. Lamb? Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
would you please walk us through those?
I think we're on page 11. Attached in your board packet is the engagement letter between KPPA and Eide Bailey, which was the RFP awarded recipient for the audit of the two ACFRs, of the C system and the K system. Last year, this particular part of the audit committee meeting was done in June. Our RFP ran a little bit long, but we have begun the audit under this engagement letter. The couple things I wanted to point out on page 12, it goes through auditor responsibilities and what they are responsible for doing. And there's a few bullets there, identifying and assessing the risks of material misstatements, obtain an understanding of our internal control system, evaluate the appropriateness of our accounting policies, and conclude based on audit evidence obtained whether there are conditions or events that may affect us as a going concern. And then on page 13, there are management responsibilities, so basically indicating that we, as management, are responsible for the accuracy, the control system, for adjusting our financial statements for any material misstatements, etc. This is for information purpose only. and I am happy to say that Ide Bailey was here last week doing some on-site interviews as well as looking at our control system, and they have fully begun the audit of both this K and the C system, and will issue reports based on their audit later in this year for sure.
Well, I apologize. I need to explain. I'm not for sure what's going on with the document that I have for the presentation, but it's showing blank pages. So if you'll give me a moment, anything that is actually been presented, I can pull it up otherwise, but just thought I would let somebody know that we're having a little bit of technical issues with the document.
Thank you, Sherry. Mike, I guess the one question is, and I think I know the answer, but I want to ask that we would still be on task to meet our required deadlines for the ACFR and the reporting to the state.
We are on target, and I do not anticipate us not being able to meet our required deadlines.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
I did not invite, I told Ide Bailey that they could attend this meeting, but they didn't have to. They will present a planning letter to each of the boards of trustees, so the C board and the K board, going over a few things for the trustees of those systems in the next upcoming meetings. So the partner, his name is Leland Miller, will most likely be present virtually for those meetings for the trustees of each system.
Okay. Mike, do you have any idea of the use of internal audit compared to our prior years? Is it the same or more, or do you have any idea?
It's my understanding that they do not need, we did not in the past, and we do not plan in this audit to utilize the work of internal audit to mitigate any substantive testing that the externals will do. That's my understanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we're ready to look at financial statements if Sherry is too.
Perfect. So on, I believe it's page 19, these are the freshly printed financial statements right out of our, we have a new software system that is helping us produce the ACFRs, and these are the financial statements out of that system. They obviously are not audited, and they have had minimal, if any, review by me and my team prior to me presenting them to the audit committee. But these are the June 30, 2025 unaudited financial statements for the C system and the K system, with comparative columns for 24 and 25, and each of the pension and insurance plans presented there. So if Sherry wants to scroll through a few pages, she can do that, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have on that, on those. But like I say, there's they are very, very preliminary.
Mike, since we're reviewing these now, will that mean that any changes between this and the final will have to be explained?
I can do that if there are any significant reclassifications or material changes to the numbers. I would be more than happy to point that out when we get closer to audited financial statements. But I don't anticipate them changing unless we find some kind of error or misstatement for some reason. You'll see in your K and C meetings the detail of the 630 quarterly reports, which should match these, and we'll go through them in detail. But I did not do extensive review on these unaudited ones.
Okay.
All right. Well, appreciate you putting them forward to us at the earliest possible moment. I know you're nervous that it's an unaudited and unreviewed, so we take that into consideration and appreciate you presenting them.
Thank you. That's all I had.
All right. Well, information disclosure, Mr. Goodrich, would you want to walk us through that?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. The disclosures team, followed up on 11 potential disclosures, breaches of information over the quarter. One of those implicated HIPAA. That was a cybersecurity incident with an external vendor that affected 1,491 members. The vendor followed up with notifying the members and offering credit monitoring, identity theft monitoring, and we were satisfied with their response. So there was no further action for us to take on that violation. There were 7 that implicated KPPA's data disclosure notification policy. 3 of those involved human errors, and 1 involved a machine error that resulted in a individual member's information being sent to another member. We followed up on those and sought affidavits from the member who received the information to demonstrate that they did not access or attempt to, and that they disposed of the information correctly. We had 2 attempts, unauthorized attempts to change direct deposit. Our security measures caught both of those and resulted in no financial loss to the member. So 3 were found not to be a disclosure or a breach. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Nathan?
The vendor had the breach. I don't know whether you want to tell us the name of the vendor, but what type of vendor are we talking about?
It was a subcontractor for Humana relating to health insurance.
And do you know if they've taken steps so that it won't happen again?
Yes, they've been cooperating with law enforcement and are taking steps to secure their systems further so that to reduce the chances of this occurring.
Nathan,
Yes, ma'am.
also, you mentioned a couple of times that you had sought or asked for affidavits that there were no further disclosures of the breaches. So what happens? I mean, do you contact people twice or 3 times, or do you write it off if they don't send it back, the affidavit? What's the next steps about after attempting?
At that point, if there's, we also notify the affected member of the disclosure and the steps that we've taken. If there's no response, then I think we have to write it off and notify the member
That we don't have an affidavit.
We don't have an affidavit. But a lot of times we are finding that these, sometimes we discover these because the member who received the information is contacting us to notify us of the breach. So we're finding that they're very cooperative in following up and providing an affidavit.
And you're not aware of any requirement that says the failure to get an affidavit is a problem?
No, these are usually internal policy violations and not HIPAA or state law requirements. And so it's just governed by internal policy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other questions on either information disclosures or anonymous tips? Well, no, we haven't gone to anonymous tip. Excuse me. For Nathan. All right, then, Ms. Holt, can you take us through anonymous tips, please?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Stephanie Hold, the investigator in the Office of Legal Services, and I'd like to provide information related to the fraud tips received since the last audit committee meeting held in May. We received just one new tip, and that tip is currently being investigated by the Office of Legal Services. We have 6 open tips, with 2 of those involving employer reporting, 1 involving an allegation of disability retirement fraud, and 3 are prearranged agreement allegations. We've closed 2 cases since the last audit meeting. One of the closed cases involved employer reporting, and after we initially assisted, ERSI is now taking the lead on working with the employer for those contributions. The other tip was closed after obtaining documentation that did not support the allegation that the member failed to adhere to a break-in service. That's all I have. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions for Stephanie? All right, thank you very much, and thank you for the follow-up.
Thank you.
Well, now we turn to Audit Committee administrative updates. Kristen, would you want to walk us through that section?
I will. This first section is going to be handled by Will, but before I turn it over to him, I just want to add some information to Ms. Hampton's question about the external auditor working with internal audit. I have already met with the external auditor. We went over risks and internal controls. They have asked to see our audit plan, and they've requested audits that we've performed in the past year. So we are working with the external auditor. I don't know what reliance they're putting on that, but we are working with them, and I just wanted to add that information. So I'm going to turn it over to Will, and he is going to go over the internal audit budget.
Yeah. Kristen, my question, thank you for that information, because I think that helps them, but I was actually, I think Mike answered what I had asked, is are you going to do some work like reconciliations or anything that to help them? And you're giving them things, so that's pretty normal. So thanks. I'm sure you did that with all the other auditors too.
We have, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware there is some engagement.
Got it.
Internal audit and external audit. All right, Will, you're up.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go over the budget here this morning, and I do want to bring to our attention a note about the computer equipment line item, which has nothing in last fiscal year's budget, because beginning in May 2025, the KPPA IT team was in at least weekly communications with the third-party vendor to obtain this renewal invoice before the end of the fiscal year. We received an invoice in mid-June that did not properly reflect the services used by KPPA. We reached back out, the third-party vendor reached back out to the software company to correct that invoice, and our corrected invoice was not received until July. So the payment of $40,469.10 was made in the first quarter of fiscal year 2026 and does not show up on the prior year's budget, despite it being the prior year's usage of the software. So this creates a scenario. There's a chance. Oh, yes.
Well, that'll be an adjustment then, so that it's recognized in 2025, correct?
Is that
Mike?
Yeah,
Mike.
it was an accounting question.
Say that again. I apologize.
The invoice was not received, and the corrected invoice wasn't received till July. I said, won't that be, and it's not reflected here, and I was assuming that you're going to adjust that back into 2025.
It's probably not material enough for us to make that adjustment back into 2025, so it would be reflected in the 26 actuals.
Okay. Okay.
So you, point of clarification. So you don't accrue back to invoices received in July related to June. You don't accrue those back to June.
Not in the administrative expenses, no. We do for employer contributions and benefit payments because they are significantly larger, but the administrative budget itself is pretty much a cash basis type expenditure.
Okay. All right, thanks for the clarification.
Budget question.
So, Mr. Prince, do you have more?
Oh, there's only one other overage with the budget, and that is our dues and subscriptions, which was a result of underestimating the cost of membership dues. It was $120 over the estimated, and that's the only other thing I wanted to point out.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Coffey, current internal audit projects.
Yes, Sherry, if you can. Perfect. I know it's a little small, but we can talk about it. So this is the status of, this is a list of all of the audit projects for fiscal year 2025, the audits and the various projects. So for fiscal year 2025, all of the projects were completed except for two. One was related to the inventory observation, and due to priorities of non-audit staff, that was shifted, and that information was received by us a couple weeks ago, and we are currently working on that audit right now. And the other item was the employer audit review, and it was asked that we defer that until fiscal year 2026. So that is on the 2026 audit plan. Sherry, if you can go to the next page. So that box, down one page, yeah. So that box goes over any audits that were over their time budget by more than 10%. There was nothing new added. We've covered each of those, I think, in prior meetings, but I'm happy to go over any of them. And then over to the side, those numbers show the scheduled hours and the actual hours, and then any overtime that was worked by staff for fiscal year 2025. And then Sherry, if you can go down one more page. This is the breakdown of, again, it's all of the audits and the projects, but it shows the hours spent by each individual on each item. And it also adds in for any audits that included non-audit staff. So if we're working on an audit with accounting, it includes the hours for the accounting staff. We were working with anybody in our benefits group, it includes their audits. So this was the first year we've done this. So some of it is estimates and some of it's actual, but we've got the process down to track that this year. So looking at just audits that included other areas, audit staff spent 4,255 hours on those projects, and non-audit staff spent 1,287 hours. So roughly 30% of the amount of time that audit staff spent. And this was information that was added at the request of the audit committee just to better show the true resource cost of the audits. Question?
Thank you, Kristen. This was something that we had requested, and we think it's good management material. So appreciate you tracking that and adding it to the report.
And then if you scroll just to the bottom of this page, just one other thing I wanted to point out. So at the very bottom, that very last line, so you're adding up. So at the top, we're showing the number of hours that each individual was scheduled for this year, for the fiscal year. And then it adds up all of the hours they spent. So if the bottom number is negative, that accounts for any overtime that was spent by the employee. I just wanted to point out how you were seeing negative numbers there.
Any questions for this part of the report?
Very clear.
I think we're ready to go to the review of the accounts payable process and the accrual process.
I'm going to hand that over to Madeline and let her review the two audits that have been issued.
Yep. Let's go to the next page, Sherry, please. All right, so here we have the overview of the audits. We reviewed invoices paid between July 24 and March 25. Took a sample of those. And then all of our testing, we just had one observation level issue about invoices not being paid timely, and that's shown on page 37. Let's go with that. And this is a known issue that we've come across in other audits. So the long-term solution is already being worked on and is expected to be implemented sometime in June of 2026. And then for this audit, we also had 3 opportunities for improvement starting on page 45. Keep going. Yeah, here. I wanted to call attention specifically to item number 3 that's talking about how payments are processed. So we have some checks that are being printed at Treasury, then mailed to KPPA, then mailed out from KPPA. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because it's why we included Appendix C, which starts on page 46, about the difference between direct deposit payments and check payments.
I want to clarify, so the checks with Treasury, they're not mailed back to KPPA, we don't pick those up.
Oh, sorry. And other than that, we'd like to thank accounting for all the time that they spent with clearing up questions that we had about the sampled invoices, if something wasn't quite clear. Any questions about accounts payable? Not, and let's move on to the.
Well, can we go ahead and make a motion to accept the issued report on 2025-9 review of the accounts payable process as presented?
So moved, and Mike and the staff, congratulations on a fairly clean audit, and Kristen and Madeline, thank you all for the report.
Second.
I'll second the motion, Bill, but I do have a question.
All right.
Mike, would you mind chiming in with regard to your status as far as moving towards an ACH style payment system?
It's on our to-do list, not just for accounts payable, but also I was actually looking today. We process over 1,000 checks a month to our retirees for the K system and the C system, and that is one of Ryan's big initiatives, is to minimize checks and or eliminate them. So it is on our priority list for evaluation over the next several months on both the vendor payments and the retiree payments.
Any kind of timeline that you've got in mind?
I mean, I think the first one for the vendor ones would be trying to require that in the RFP, is to accept payment by ACH. And if we can do that up front, that may make that one a quicker timeline. It's going to obviously involve our procurement group and potentially the state procurement group, whether we can do that. So we have not formally fledged out a timeline, but I think that would be the low-hanging fruit on the vendor side. There's a lot of nuances to the retiree side that we have to go through. That timeline will be a little bit longer.
I know we've had some issues in the past with regard to that. Anything you can do to expedite that, to head off those type problems, I'd be all in to support that.
Understood.
Just in a FYI, I just recently read that Social Security is finally eliminating checks. So they've been working on that probably longer than you'll be working on this.
Yeah, we were aware of that change by the Social Security Administration as well. So, correct.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. All right, that passes. Thank you, Madeline. You want to go to the next one?
Yep. So this next one, let's go to page 48 to see the overview of it. It was about accruals. We looked at 7 different types of accruals in this audit that were completed in fiscal year 2025 as of March 2025. And if you want to see specifics about it, you can see it in the COSO chart that Sherry has up here in item number 2, that has all the details about the different types of accruals we looked at. So as we looked at them, we didn't have any findings or observations, and we just had 2 opportunities for improvement that are explained on page 54. And those 2 items are also known issues that are already being worked on by the CFO. So nothing to highlight on that one. But we also, again, we took up accounting's time, so we thank you for their explanation of how those accruals are done and all the questions we had. So that's all I have. Any questions on that one?
Well, a clean audit is hard to argue with, so we appreciate both accounting, finance, and internal audit for a great review and a great response outcome. So is there a motion to accept the issued report of 2025-11, review of the accrual process as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. We have that approved. Kristen, anything else before we move on to professional articles?
We do not have anything else related to the audits. So if there's no questions, I think we're ready to move on.
Right, Mr. Curtis,
Bill,
professional article.
Bill,
Yes.
one before. Kristen, I think you have a full staff. If you wanted to talk a little bit about that, I think that's a
We do.
big step.
I think we briefly, or I think we touched on that at our last meeting, but yes, we have a full staff now. We had an interim employee, but he has come on full time, which completed so we had full staff, one of them was interim, but he is full time as of April. I think full time as of April. So yes, we have 4 auditors working hard to ensure things are working properly.
Great, thank you.
All right, Zach, we'll hand it over to you for the review of this article.
Got it. Good deal. Good morning, everyone. So with some of our upcoming audits, we found this article online, thought it kind of went hand in hand with everything, just for improper payments, just based on the Green Book risk categories. For the improper payments, we do have the top 8 red flags. So we have just any type of new program, the complexity of payment rules, high volume of payments, the outsourcing to third-party payment processors, personnel inexperience, self-certifications of eligibility, no eligibility database, or unsecured documentation, and then known fraud risk. More or less, it's the common sense factor, as I like to use that term. So with the improper payments in the Green Book 811, these are payments that should not have been made or that were made in the incorrect amount. Payments are also considered improper when there is insufficient or lack of documentation. Improper payments can stem from either fraud, mismanagement of funds, errors, whether it's technical or human, and then just the overall lack of oversight. The other types of improper payments, we have overpayments, which include the payments for goods and services not received from a vendor, payments to ineligible recipients, payments for services, or the always potential for fraudulent transactions. The underpayments with what we should do with them is obviously with the auditing aspect is, reviewing kind of goes hand in hand with overpayments as well. The guidance that, based on this article is make sure the auditee includes improper payment risk in the risk assessment, ask for documentation, then ask again when you're handing a pizza receipt and told it's a training expense. And then, just improper payments involve bad intentions, but all of them can create problems for agencies, citizens, and public trust. And then based on the Green Book, it's primarily written for government entities creating and establishing controls over governmental programs. And that was it.
So we've included this for your review because we have an upcoming audit of the procurement process. So these are some things we're going to be keeping in mind as we get into that audit, and we wanted to share it with you in case it brings to mind any concerns or questions that you may have that you want us to look into while we are looking at that audit.
Kristen, do our policies recognize the Blue Book as, I guess, guidance for all of our payments, or just things that go with the federal government, if any? I guess there's always Social Security.
Our internal audit charter references use of the Green Book.
Okay.
I'm not sure about any KPPA policies.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, good. That was very timely, and thank you for letting us have some background before you start that audit. We look forward to the results later in the year.
Now,
yes,
Mary, one question of interest. Do we have any outside insurance for any sort of like fraudulent payments or any kind of improper payments, or is it all at at the risk of KPPA and the trust funds?
Receives. If we have an improper payment that's due to a cyber incident, we do have a cyber policy that provides a little bit of coverage in there, but it would have to be derived from something covered under our cyber insurance policy. If someone was social engineered to make a payment inaccurately through a cyber breach, then that would have some coverage there.
Thank you.
any other questions or items to bring before the board? Well, hearing none, I want to thank everyone for all your attention and your time today, and everyone that worked so hard in order to get the data to us. And thank you for your time. We'll have this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.